folks, Chris, Kentucky Woodsman. Today, we're doing something pretty neat. We are going to a Raptor Rehabilitation Center here in southeastern Kentucky in Letcher County near Whitesburg. And we're going to take a little tour. We're going to learn a little bit about raptors, and we're going to learn a little bit about what goes into the process of rehabilitating a raptor that's been injured or hurt in some way and returning it back to the wild. Stay tuned, it's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, we're here with Mitch Whitaker. He is the curator of the Raptor Rehab Center here in Letcher County. Mitch, can you tell us a little bit about the Raptor Center?
Sure, Chris. We're excited to have you here today with our program, and we're excited to have these guests. Just happen to be here today. We're stopping by, wanted to see the center, and I was telling them earlier, we are a very unique 4-H program here in eastern Kentucky. We actually are we're the only facility in the eastern part of the state that actually takes in these wild birds that have been injured or hurt. And the goal of our program is to get these animals attention, medical attention if they need, and try our best to get these animals back out into the wild. But every now and then these animals are unable to be able to be returned. And most of the time these animals would have had to have been euthanized, but through our center here, we're able to keep some of these birds and use them as educational tools. And we take these birds out to schools and to functions, and to tell the folks that there is a place that they can bring these birds when they get injured. We're very fortunate to actually be able to take in these birds. If today someone was to hit an owl or a hawk here in the eastern part of the state, we are the only facility east of I-75. There's one in Somerset and there's one in Louisville, Kentucky. But if in the eastern part of the state you was actually to hit an owl or a hawk and you contacted the Fish and Wildlife Service, they would get in contact with us or possibly bring the bird to us, and then we would take over from there. And our goal, as I said earlier, is to try to get these animals back out into the wild. Our program's been going for, we're going on our 7th year. Through those 7 years, we was looking at it the other day, we have rescued 180 birds. And out of those 180 birds, we've only had about 35 of these animals to actually get to go back out into the wild. So most of the time, it's not the happy ending to the story that we get to take it out and get to release. Oftentimes, it's taking care of these animals for the rest of their life. Now, as I said earlier, we use them as educational tools. We take them out to schools and events, and these kids get to see these animals up close that they would have never got to see out in the wild. You know, these animals would have flew away long before. We can see them in books and stuff, but man, when you get these animals up close and you really get to look at them, you really get to understand, you know, that these are wild animals, just like lions and tigers. And so for us to get to have these as educational tools is a big bonus. But when we get in young baby birds, young hawks and owls, we have to be very careful through their young early development. If a human is associated with food too much, if every day a human is coming in and giving that young bird food, it doesn't take it very long before when he sees the door come on, hey, there's mom, there's mom, there's mom. And that bird will be imprinted and he'll look towards humans for food, and that's what we don't want. You know, we want to be able, when these birds get bigger, we want them to go out in the wild and actually be scared of us humans. So these animals that are here with us forever, they serve as like foster parents. When it comes time for us to feed these animals, we put animals that's like in there with them, and so they're, you know, while we're feeding them, they're fed with other birds, and they never associate that food with us humans. No matter how small they are, they never really associate. Now, we still have to handle them and stuff like that, but they never associate that food to us. So these animals that are here, you know, that's with us, they're great foster parents, and they actually help with the program. These birds do programs outside of our county. We charge a small mileage fee to come out to schools and stuff. And these birds, I call them my workers, they have actually done enough programs and got enough donations that they have built on to our facility just from their work and going out to the schools and to the program. So this program, we're hoping that it will perpetuate itself, continue to keep going, and these guys will continue to have advocates for them. If you guys will hang on just a second, I'll go get you one of our most popular program birds, okay?
That's great. Oh,
okay.
Wow.
Okay, guys, this is probably one of our most famous birds, we say. This is Dexter. Dexter is a great horned owl. Dexter, wave at all these folks. Yeah. Dexter's opened over 500 programs for us, and Dexter is one of those birds that's never going to be able to be released. And he's been a great spokesperson for us. As we go out, we introduce him, and he always waves at the crowd, and the kids really like to see him. And he is our largest owl that we have here in the Appalachian Mountains. Sometimes they're called a tiger owl, and we can see why they may be called. And the first thing we notice is their big eyes. These guys are the largest owls, so they have the largest eyes. And their eyeballs are actually about the same size as humans.
Wow.
But their eyes don't shift. They can't go from side to side, so that's why they turn their head so much. Their eyes are actually locked straight in their head.
Wow, he's beautiful.
Yes, beautiful bird. And again, this is the largest owl that we'll see here in the Appalachian Mountains. There are bigger owls in the United States, but around here in eastern Kentucky and southwestern Virginia, this is about the biggest owl that we're going to have.
Well, you can sure see his talons there real well right now.
Yes. Not only is he the biggest bird, he has the most gripping pressure. This guy has a gripping pressure of over 400 pounds per square inch. Wow. Now, don't let him deceive you. He's just sitting there right now. He's not squeezing very hard. He's just resting. But if he was going after game or he was scared, he can very easily poke through these welding gloves.
Wow.
So this is a great opportunity for us to always tell everyone, when you see one of these birds injured, you're going to be this big giant standing over top of it. It's going to be scared. It's going to be hurt, injured. You're going to reach down to pick this guy up to take him or bring him to us. You're really going to get hurt, So we ask everyone to use caution around these animals. Get in contact with the Fish and Wildlife Officer or contact us here at the Letcher County Extension Office, and we'll make arrangements to try to get these guys the attention that they need. And again, this is Dexter, our great horned owl. Dexter, wave goodbye to these folks. This is one of our native birds as well. This is a red-tailed hawk. We can tell by his red tail feathers. But what we also like to point out when we have other red-tailed hawks, sometimes a red-tailed hawk doesn't have red tail feathers. During his first year, he has brown tail feathers, and after 1 year, these animals molt their feathers and they change color. So this is a bird that is mature. We can tell by the color of their eyes. Their eyes change as well. When they're juveniles, they're one color, and as they get older, these birds are born in the springtime. And by the end of summer, they're as big as they're ever going to be. Us humans, it takes us 18 years to get as tall as we're going to get. Well, birds get as big as they're going to get, as tall, in about 4 months. And that's sort of nature's way of helping them out through that first year, because their parents kick them out of the nest and they have to survive on their own. And that's why we see such a high mortality rate with these guys, is they're out there trying to survive every day. No one's bringing their food to them like our dogs and cats at home. They're out there trying to find their food every day. And these animals do eat live animals like mice and lizards and frogs. And they get all the water that they need through these animals. So they have to catch something to eat every day, really, to get their water. So it's really fascinating, and all the survival skills. We are hoping that this guy, maybe by spring, might possibly be a return to the wild. We've not spent very much time with this bird because we really don't want him to get too used to us, in hopes that the vet thinks he is strong enough to be able to be released.
Wow.
But these are common birds. We do have to put the strings on their feet there. It's just a way for us to handle these birds, to carry them, because they are wild animals. At any moment they can fly away. Even the ones with just one wing will still, if you untie them and turn them loose, they would run out the door and go on their own, even though we know they couldn't survive.
Now, what was this one's injury? He looks really healthy.
Yes, this one was taken to the veterinarian's office, and it had got emaciated. It had got so low on its weight. And all it takes, these guys, they miss a meal today, they're not going to die, but they're weak tomorrow. They don't fly strong enough, so they're not strong enough to go catch that mouse. So all of a sudden, they're 2 days into not eating, and they're getting lower and lower on their weight. And so sometimes we're lucky enough to catch these guys before they actually do die. And oftentimes it's folks call us and they say, we were able to walk right up to this bird, in our backyard. You should never be able to walk up. The reason you walk up to them, something's wrong with them, and they're usually so weak they really can't get away from you. And they're in that trend, they're slowly on that spiral down. So this is what this bird, and then by the time we got him back up to weight, where he ought to be, we're into the winter months now. So we, as rehabilitators, we try not, we want to give these guys their best opportunity to survive out there. So throwing them back out into the winter there would make it a little harder. And we think if we hang on to these birds, and it's a practice that's practiced by all the rehabilitators, turn these guys loose in the spring when everything is starting to populate back up. There's a better food source. They have that better chance to get acclimated back into an environment somewhere. And the goal of these animals, guys, are by their self, they're out there, it's really hard for them to survive. It takes them 4 to 5 years before they become mature enough to actually pick a mate. And once these animals pick a mate, then their chance of survival goes up tremendously. That's like, it's two people are out there looking for food, and if one catches something that day, both of them gets to eat. But when you're out there by yourself, you don't get anything, you're just on your own. So most of the time, it's those young birds that first year. 4 out of 5 of these guys don't survive that first year. It's those mature mates that go on, but each year they produce these babies that just go out there and they're on their own, and a lot of time. And usually that's the birds that we see come in here more than not, or the juvenile birds, but every now and then these adult birds get injured as well.
Now, how old is this one?
We estimate this guy, he has to at least be 5-year-old to have the brown eyes.
Right.
When they're juveniles, they really keep a yellow eye, sort of like Dexter's there a while ago, for a pretty long time. When we see the bald eagle with a pretty white head and white tail, it takes that eagle 5 years before it has a white head. If you've seen it when it was 4-year-old, it would have a black head. Wow. I've got one other ferocious bird of prey I'd like to show you guys. Okay, everybody,
you ready?
Be prepared. Don't take off running.
I've been telling them about the big mean owl that was getting ready to get them out.
This is always one of our crowd pleasers as well. When we go out to the schools and stuff, we build him up just like I did with you guys and say, here, we have our most ferocious owl next. And this is another native owl that we have. We hear him out of the nighttime. Makes a sound that goes, woo, woo. These are the these are the little screech owls. These are the smallest owls that we have here in the Central Appalachia. He's as big as he's ever going to get. I remember I said these guys get as big as they're going to get in 4 months. So this guy's as big as he's ever going to get. He still has all the same survival tools that Dexter had. He has the supervision, super hearing, and the talents. He's just in a smaller package. This guy does eat live animals. He doesn't eat rabbits and squirrels, but he eats a lot of worms and grasshoppers and stuff like that. They are nocturnal animals. These animals they prowl out of the nighttime because they have that big advantage over the other animals. But again, he's full grown. And this is, if you'll notice, he has sort of a red tint to him. Sometimes these guys have a gray color to them as well.
Yeah, he is. It's another beautiful bird.
Aren't they neat?
Raptors are just really cool. I mean, there's thousands of birds out there, but there's just something about raptors, and everyone appreciates the raptors.
And they do have a special diet that we've mentioned earlier. This sort of separates them from other birds. These guys don't eat bird seed or strawberries or grass. They have to have live animals. They need that liquid from those animals. Some of the schools that we go to have, before we got there, they've done a little bit of advanced workshops on these guys about the little pellets that they spit up. After they eat these animals, they get all the liquid they need, and they spit that hair and bone back up into little pellets. And now in science class, they're dissecting these pellets, and they're actually being able to see what these animals eat the night before by the skeletons that are left in the pellet. They'll take them apart, and sometimes there'll be a snake skeleton in there because they eat a snake, or a squirrel.
How much do they weigh? Like, how much does an owl weigh or a bird weigh?
I think Dexter there weighs about 1,800 grams. I'm going to guess that's about 3-4 pounds. This guy, he doesn't weigh a half a pound. I mean, it's 200 grams, yes. And again, he's full grown. He's as big as he'll ever be. So you've got to see the range of the owls that we've seen. So when you look at an owl, someone may look at this owl and say it's a baby horned owl, but it's really not. It's full size owl. And it depends on the time of year that you see these animals. When they're babies and they're in the nest, when they're what we say small, they're covered in down. By the time they start getting up ready to fledge out of the nest, they're grown and starting to grow feathers. Now their feathers sometimes are different colors and when they get older, but they're still about that size. So if you see a bird into the winter, that bird's as big as it's ever going to be. Now,
Where's his
it may
ears?
be a different. He's actually got his little tufts laying down.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Pretty neat.
Very neat. Very
That's
neat.
awesome.
These animals get all their liquid that they need through the animals that they eat. That's why they eat live animals. We do see them sometimes eating roadkill, but a lot of times after the liquid is out of a roadkill, you won't see one of these guys. They're really looking for that fresh live meat. Today we're going to be feeding these guys chicken. We like to usually through the hunting season months, so we do have hunters bring us squirrels and rabbits. We like to mix that diet in there every now and then. From time to time, we do have volunteers that bring us in mice, squirrels and rabbits, and we do mix this in. Usually through the summer months, these animals have to, there's no hunting season through those months, so a lot of times if we catch mice sometimes, and we did have a little breeding program here with some dwarf hamsters for a while to provide them food like that. But these animals do have to eat every single day. As we said earlier, out in the wild, when they go and miss a day of food, these animals get, that's like not even drinking or eating something that day. So it's really important that they eat every day. All of our birds, we try to chart their weight and their how much we feed them. This is a brand new weigh station that we've just built. We have a station there. We weigh these animals by grams. That's just a preference to us. We like them. It's easier, and the machine is actually set up for that. It just makes it real easy. And actually what we're looking for is a weight change. We could weigh these birds today, and if they weighed 3 rocks, we would just look tomorrow and see if they weighed close to those 3 rocks again. We want these animals really, and then we do need the digital scale. You can't use rocks, but we're looking for that change in their weight. We don't want their weight to start going up. We don't want it to start going down. We want to stay at the recommended weight. These animals, again, don't get that much exercise, so they don't really need the requirements as much. But we do feed these animals what is required for them to survive for a day on what activity they have. Oftentimes when we're out to schools, we ask the kids if they ask them what percentage of these animals' weight can they eat, and the answer is 10% of their weight. And we always like to ask the kids, can you eat 10% of what you weigh? And some of them say yes, some of them say no, but it's very hard for us to eat 10% of what we weigh, and that's what these animals get fed. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut up some chicken, and we'll take them out to the stalls. Again, we keep these animals, they're sort of fat and happy. We don't want aggressive animals that are looking for us every day. As soon as the door cracks open, they're running to us for food. We give them an ample amount each day. As we go back into the stalls after a while and throw this food into them, we will retrieve any leftover food from yesterday. And we save all that for the buzzards. All these guys have some issue with them. Wing, the one that can fly, he's got a bad eye, and the other ones have lost a wing. These are all mature birds. And if you'll notice right underneath their chin, they have a little patch of feathers there that goes horizontal, and that's what makes them look like they have a bar under their chin there, and they're barred owls.
A lot of people call these barn owls. They mistake the word, they mistake the name for barn instead of barred. And I'll have to admit, several years ago I was one of those that thought they called them a barn owl, but they're actually a barred owl.
Yes, you're exactly right. That are have injuries and stuff that may be with us forever. And again, guys, he's our garbage disposal. We bring all the old bones and we bring everything out here to this guy, and he eats everything that's left.
Didn't take him long to grab onto that, did it?
No.
He's so ugly, he's pretty.